जय जय हे भगवती सुरभारती तव चरणौ प्रणमाम्यहम्। जय जय हे भगवती सुरभारती तव चरणौ प्रणमाम्यहम्। नाद ब्रह्ममयी जय वागेश्वरी नाद ब्रह्ममयी जय वागेश्वरी शरणं ते गाचामः। जय जय हे भगवती सुरभारती तव चरणौ प्रणमाम्यहम्।
I welcome you to this ride shop. Since the number of participants are increasing in the ride shops, this time it has been decided that we will have a national ride shop at Hyderabad, and we have two regional ride shops. One will be in Chandigarh for the northwestern states, and one in northeastern states in Kohima. And we also, since we wanted to have the participation of all the states in all the ride shops, we also requested people who don't who are from northwest and northeast also join as representatives here. They will be joining. I really want to welcome Goa for the first time. They have come to the ride shop for the first time, and in fact probably they are going to be on board in NRLM this year. NRLM is talking about reaching all the states and all the union territories in the country except Chandigarh and Delhi. We are talking about 100 million households probably joining on board in the NRLM movement. We are talking about a size of something in the range of 3 lakh crores. NRLM size, if you calculate our estimated requirement is up to 3 lakh crores, and that will be done over a period of 20 years. By 2030, 2031, we should have reached all the households and mobilized them into associations and federations, and probably it will cost us 3 lakh crores. That would mean something like 28 to 29,000 rupees per family. We have a situation where we have 60% money is going to community as funds. About 30% will be money that's spent on capacity building. Another 10% will be on the HR that happens in the field. So that is a sense. So if you look at our program, it is capacity building and supported by some staff and some funds. That is the program. We need to understand these dynamics. How do we revise, adapt and implement the various documents of the NRM, that is COM, HRM, Financial Management Manual, including unit costs. This is, if you want to capture entire NRM into one diagram, this is diagram. I will not go deep into it, all of you are familiar with it. So if you want to explore that diagram, we will explore during the course of the base is the institution. We are forming, federating and financing SHGs and their federations. So that is our core work. That is the base. Then we have the farm livelihoods. Then we have the non-farm livelihoods. Then we have the social inclusion and social development. And we have the skills and self-employment. So that's our totality. NRLM totality is, if you put in different way, the previous diagram in different way. We want to have reduced poverty. We want to have improved lives, improved livelihoods, improved well-being. That's our agenda. And without losing dignity and voice and equity of the poor people. Hope that poverty will go away, and faith that communities have the capacity to cover. And they have the capacities, they have the knowledge, they have the skills, they have the resources, and we only need the help. So that is the core value, and everything else has to reflect this hope and this faith. Anything that comes in the way of these two values will not be tolerated. We need our entire NRLM setup, NRLM machinery needs to understand 10 years in a block. This has to percolate to every level, every layer. Visioning has to happen to every layer, so that is one important focus. We also discovered last 3 years that communitization is the key to NRLM success. So we need to do communitization. Communitization would mean 3 things for us. One, that mission structures will be occupied more and more by community staff. How do we make that mission structures are occupied by community staff, community professionals, community volunteers? They need to occupy the mission structures. That would also mean dramatic reduction in the HR from the outside in the missions. That would also mean automatically that we will not keep on expanding, adding professionals. We only fill strategic gaps, but we live with what is there on the ground, and we only use the existing staff. We don't want to expand beyond whatever levels we have got. Large number of community gardens. large number of community cadres who are owned, recruited, owned, nurtured and paid by community organizations. So that is the shift. So we need to make these three basic shifts.
कि ये राइट शॉप निस्संदेह पिछले राइट शॉप से ज़्यादा उपयोगी रहेगी. एक एरिया अप्रोच की हमें बात करनी है या बॉटम अप प्लानिंग की बात करनी है. ये कम्यूनिटाइजेशन का एक नया कॉन्सेप्ट जो हालांकि वो पहले से है लेकिन अब किस तरह से एक केंद्रित तरीके से या जिसको कहना चाहिए कॉन्सेंट्रेट वे में करना है, तो वो निश्चित तौर पे हमारी यही अपेक्षा है कि इसमें हम और ज़्यादा हमारा कॉन्सेप्चुलाइजेशन जो है वो पूरा हो जाए, जिससे कि हम उसका पूर्ण तरह से जो आपकी अपेक्षा है एनएमएमयू की वैसा हम क्रियान्वित कर सकें. और आफ्टर ऑल जो हम और आप सब लोग काम कर रहे हैं वो समुदाय के लिए काम कर रहे हैं. तो अब
everybody knows it is initial phase. 1.5 years has passed. We moved from resource block, and maybe from the next years we'll be moving to other intensive blocks from the 10 resource blocks which are supposed to be served. So last year learnings were there, communitization, and we have gone some way forward in that. Immersions we have done a lot many with the help of SERV, and COM which was also discussed last year, and with the help of our state anchor Mr. Malhotra ji, we prepared that, and it is now in the final stage of finalization.
You have a clear idea of how to communitize PIP. PIP should not be an elite work which we do. The thinking is that the CRP should be able to do the PIP. Not only do the PIP, they should be able to also teach and train the VOs to do the PIP. The second step will be communitization and monitoring. We do say that community-based monitoring, community audit, social audit, but I don't think all of us have the same understanding of what this is all about. The third thing that will follow from PIP to monitoring is communitization and evaluation. That when we do a correct PIP through the CRPs, we should maintain or take steps to preserve the outputs. 2 years down the line, we will take those outputs to the same communities and see how the variables have moved. Are the indicators of ill-being getting reduced or are new ones being added? That will give you a clear idea of how successful or unsuccessful we are in our mission to eliminate poverty. So that's a very important part of the story. The second element of communitization is some states have done the vision, mission, values and identity. Communitization of PIP and capacity building for PIP, communitization of monitoring, communitization of evaluation, communitization of vision, mission, values and identity. And at the end of the day, I would be more than happy if you could also come out at least informally a plan of action, what you propose to do over the next 1 year. Thank you very much. Welcome once again. Have a nice day in Hyderabad.
The first indicator for a resource block, 100% of the villages in that block should be covered. Second indicator, 100% of the poor in that block should be organized. They must come inside the SHGs. Third one, 80% of the SHGs in that resource block should be in A grade. The next indicator is 80% of the families, organized families, SHG members, should get minimum 50,000 rupees loan in this process. One more indicator I am suggesting, all the VO offices should be open. 100% of the VO offices should be open in a resource block. VO means it is not a 4 walls of bricks and cement. VO is a place for social change. VO is a place that brings unity. VO is a place that brings convergence. VO is a place that gives identity to the poor people's institution. The last indicator I will discuss with you in the individual groups. The subjects is here. That block should come up with a block level training center. Thank you so much.
Appointed by us, the three major issues of the right shop that have been flagged are communitization. Second is scaling up from resource blocks to intensive blocks. Third is to add additional activities in the resource blocks after the mobilization happens. So there are three major issues.
The first roots are sunk, the first shoots are visible. Have they deepened? That is something which you need to reflect on. Now, in spite of all this, the progress has been significant in the last 1 year. in a foundational sense, not in a superstructure sense. We have the resource block model has now firmed up. It's a very stabilized model. It's not fuzzy. We know very clearly if so many resource blocks come, how exactly in numbers, how many villages can be covered in 7 or 8 years. Much greater clarity on the centrality of CRPs. Now we are more clear on CRPs than on the mission staff. What they should do, how they should do. But as again I must tell you, they are still at an understanding conceptual stage. In a reality stage again, it's not become automatic per se. Then some interesting policy directions in the last 1 year. Perhaps in my eyes the most significant thing is the decision to link our SHG movement with sanitation. We are beginning to look at the aged. The aged poor are as disadvantaged, more disadvantaged than a woman poor. And India, aging, that problem will increase in India, not come down. So the problem of aging poor, sometimes beyond the productive years, what do? We are not grappled with it. Never in India has this problem been grappled. We left it to the family to sort it out. Panchayat partnership, which we did talk about last time also. But if I understand, it's the only amendment to the NRLM framework, no? After the framework was formed, and it was end December last year or something. So after our last thing, we had a formal amendment of the NRLM framework, introducing Panchayat partnership. That's again a policy direction. Then operationalizing MG and RGS convergence in a big way. Still remained on paper, but that is again a major policy direction. And a new decision which has been taken, and Vijay is working out the details, is to bring artisans into our livelihood in a big way. So they are some of the important policy directions. If I have left out anything, I'm sure Vijay and Murli will supplement. Then high poverty states, the expected progress is slower. Recently, from a very analytical point of view, I had to look at different schemes, NREGA, NRLM, particularly social assistance programs. They are broadly working well in states where they need not be working so well. And they are not working in states where they are critical for the state survival. A big mismatch. So, how do we address that? In Karnataka, promoted by top quality NGOs. In West Bengal, promoted or facilitated by the panchayats. How are we not able to bring them into the NRLM culture? They are very close. Why? Why not? I want you to reflect. What are the challenges? Why we are not able to get them into our tent? Then of course the big concern, credit flow is highly skewed again. Probably getting more skewed than last year. No change. Of course you can't suddenly absorb credit as Andhra does or Tamil Nadu does. But I guess the skewedness should be coming down even by 1%, 2%. It's not coming down. So what are the challenges that we need to address? Because many of them are beyond you. It's on the behavior of the bank, the policy of the bank, and more often than not the policy but the behavior of the local banker. So many a time, credit offtake is not there because of the behavior of a local manager, not because of any policy or want of instruction. Communitization is not just to organize SHGs, beyond, to look into every aspect of your livelihood, of your entitlement. So how do we develop that? And develop that fast. So the diversification of the communitization model, a CRP for governance linkages, CRP for livelihood, of course we have a good model. CRP for non-agricultural livelihood is not that easy. CRP for your attaining entitlements. Peer learning has been outstanding in NRL. We can do better in capacity building of our own grassroots level staff and of the SHGs, their leaders and all that. We are not sure whether we have a capacity building plan beyond the conventionals, the basics of bookkeeping, lending. Other than that, the capacity building for poverty reduction, the larger thing, we have to start thinking. Because the resource blocks are ready, we know the models, we know the issues. So, how to develop capacity building? And institutions for capacity building. We may have special staff, we may have CRPs, we will have hired staff, young professionals. But it is not strategically wise to keep the traditional anti-poverty departments in the dark about it. Even if you don't involve them, they can do a lot of damage. I've seen it in Kerala, where it was almost killed off. Just because you don't like the model. Why you don't like the model? You don't know about the model. Basically the reason. So we think, no, we are not dependent on the Gram Sevak, we are not dependent on the APO, the RDA. We have our own bright staff, yes. But mainstreaming this idea is very important. The idea. Otherwise, they have the ear of the powers that be. When you have a PIP technique, it has to be related, the great Doyen is here, to the local context. And it can't come just from the people. It has to be teased out of the people. For which you need a facilitator. Who understands PIP in a Orissa context, in a Orissa PVTG context, in a Orissa coastal context? I'm afraid we don't have that variety of experience. So we are pushing it off. What is the danger in pushing it away? The nuances of poverty we will not catch. We will end up with a saving and credit. The nuances of poverty will have to be understood if we have to attune our strategies as per local need, which requires a PIP. Not only for the BMMU or DMMU, for the NRLM, the variety of poverty in India. What causes poverty? When you're preparing plans, unless we have an idea of what causes poverty in India, or what are the manifestations, where, what patterns, what complexities, you can't solve. Even from a law and order sense, if you understand the poverty of Jharkhand, probably you can target left-wing extremism more than you're understanding their logistics and their hideouts. PIP is not for our thing. PIP for the poor to understand themselves. The collective poverty of the locality. Why? I can come out of my poverty through my own livelihood understanding. But for me, for the group, for the larger group, you need a collective understanding of poverty. Otherwise, a lot of things will not work. Now, this vulnerable group, which I hinted yesterday, is not been going on well. From different points of view. One, I said, it's a challenge to the mission. Challenge to the capacity of the mission. If you can't do in one block a project, through the community of course, without waiting for the community to develop and all that, I'm a little afraid that we can do it. We should be able to do it. Poverty is not homogeneous. Poor are as diversified as they are, as any other thing. There's a lot of diversity. Unless we understand, as I told you earlier, what is the problem with disability? What is the problem with a single woman? Age or bonded labor, child labor. It has taken years, but still it's very difficult to understand. Unless we have this and have some solutions. The Panchayat partnership. Now let us not, I've been telling the Kudumbashree NRO, I think they're here. Some people I saw the list. Okay. Let us not waste too much of time in pilots and all that. You study the Panchayat practice. That's more important than laws and rules. All this can be done through desk studies. All the local economic development. Diversifying local economy. Starting with agriculture, moving on to livestock, moving on to artisans, and probably moving on to manufacturing and services. So the advanced SHGs of Andhra, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, they are already into it. Services, as a collective, what services can you give? So we will provide sanitation services, and in advanced areas you can provide health services, home nurses in a developed area. Where you are trained, you come and you get a very handsome monthly salary. So potential is unlimited. So we gradually have to probe, not necessarily push all of them into these kind of activities, and small manufacturing, and then lobbying with your state to be a ready market. Okay, we manufacture it, we will buy it. State is one of the largest buyer even now of several small products. It is a traditional technique right from Mahila Samajam days. So probably now you'll have to search for these kind of things. The one village, one product. Not in China. China did it in a different way. Thailand did it. Japan is doing it. A lot of literature on that. One village, one product. So when this artisan thing which Vijay is doing is exactly the same. So you are trying to diversify what is called a local economic development. We need to be proactive to get the skills opportunity. Skills targets are being oversubscribed. But are they our people? It's still a top-down approach. Big companies, they want their manpower companies, they come, give you some kind of skilling and take. But the people who need, so we have to be, that's the new guideline, spirit of the new guideline issued in 2013. The poor should be identified and you go for the skills. It's not, the company cannot select. You are helping in the selection, which Tamil Nadu is doing very well. So unless you are proactive, you know what are the sensitivities involved, what kind of trades a person can do, and to which locations they can go. So these are some of the things which I want you to look into. Accessing entitlement, which again should now, all the resource blocks should start. RSBY, Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana, which are there. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. They are there for everybody, every Indian citizen. So why not aware? I think some instructions have gone on PMJDY, isn't it? From NRLM. So make it, actualize it. Always will remain on paper. We are going to have Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana. 800 villages now and 1,600 villages maybe after. Saturate them under NRLM even if they are not resource blocks, even if they are non-Indian. That's one of the policy decisions you take. It's a great opportunity for converging development programs for the poor. Otherwise, poor will get left out of the SHG way. Sansad Adarsh Gram, Gramin Awas Mission, total housing for the poor. Not just to get houses for the women, but to be part of the services. Women could be self-enterprises. Because it's a non-losing purpose. You know the target, you know the number, how much bricks you can produce. How much cement can you sell? And if you can provide labor groups. So Gram will be a major activity, having huge investment in rural areas. Another great opportunity on which we have to do more at the NRLM level is using CSR for the poor, for the SHGs. 14,000 crores is what finance ministers. Our target should be to get at least 5,000 crores, which is more than the NRLM budget for the poor. So the corporate social responsibility, you'll have to work locally with your thing. We will facilitate nationally. I've talked to Oil India, some petroleum companies, they're all willing. not Oil India, Coal India. So, because now initially they are also in the dark, they don't know what to do. Soon they will also know what to do and it becomes a routinized kind of thing. So, in the early stages, the early bird, we have to be an early bird in CSR. There's a great civil servant, Vijay has also worked in Kerala Cadre. He's 81 years, 82 years old. Mr. V. Ramcharan, he quoted a Chinese thing to me. He said, crossing the river, feeling the stones. It's not simple words. You are crossing a mighty river. That is, you are cutting across for the poor. But you're not rushing, you will fail. You are feeling the stones. Otherwise, you'll slip. If you stand also, you'll fall in a river. So you are crossing, feeling the stones. That is, you are in touch with the local realities while in this crossing. So that is NRLM. This has to be a think shop. You think and then write, and I have great expectations from you because I hear a lot about you, see a lot of your good work. So